Hey all, just a quick little one today. I finished reading Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney last night, and on the whole, I think I liked it well enough. To be honest, I don't think I'm really a part of the intended audience for this book, so I don't feel like I have the authority to do a full analysis on it, but I do have a few thoughts. First off, I think the way Rooney writes is really wonderful in how understated it is, and in a way it almost reminds me of Banana Yoshimoto. It has this sort of calm, neutral tone that doesn't over-dramatize or sensationalize what's happening, and it lets the characters' feelings and actions speak for themselves. Even though there are tense, emotional moments throughout the book, the prose doesn't make it seem hysterical or unrealistic. It all comes off as very real and visceral, as if you were a ghost floating through the rooms where the events are taking place. A wrinkle in this approach is that the author doesn't put any dialogue in quotes and includes it as part of the ongoing paragraphs in the story rather than separating it out into its own lines. I think this adds to the style she's going for, but there are moments in the book where I felt like it started to become hard to focus on. She also has a tendency to have paragraphs run on for pages at a time, which in some moments works well in giving us this almost river-like current or stream of events, but in other moments becomes fairly tiresome. There's a stretch in the last third of the book where it feels like not a whole lot is happening, but not in the way that I'm fond of. Part of my feeling here is just personal preference though. I feel the same way about how David Foster Wallace uses long-running paragraphs. It just doesn't gel well with my easily distracted brain. My other main criticism of the book also comes from a personal place, which is that I find the main characters in the book largely unsympathetic and borderline hateable at times. Obviously, some of this is intentional, but for me those aspects of the characters overshadowed the parts of them that were relatable and easy to sympathize with. The two main characters, Alice and Eileen, are relatable to me in a sense since I too am an aging millennial trying to figure out what makes me happy. But where the rug gets pulled out for me is how they choose to manage their personal relationships, which is half of what the whole book is centered on. They are petty and irrational and bring so much of their own personal turmoil on themselves that it becomes increasingly frustrating to read about. To Rooney's credit, this makes the characters fleshed out and complex in a really commendable way, and it deepens the illusion that these could be real people that you might know. However, these are not people that I would want to be around, and they seem like positively toxic individuals a lot of the time. With all that said, the way in which Rooney touches on living in the age we're in and the moral and existential debacles that we find ourselves contemplating as 20-somethings is really thoughtful and right on the money as far as I'm concerned. The idea that there is such an abundance of chaos and uncertainty in the world and we're supposed to carry on in the face of it all can seem absurd and cruel and pointless, and the characters here have lengthy and beautiful discussions about it all. The parts of the book that worked the most for me were the email exchanges between Alice and Eileen, where they get into these topics in great detail, and you can tell that the author is both deeply concerned and well versed in these areas. These exchanges are what make these often detestable characters relatable and human. And even though the balance for the most part tips the other way for me, I admire how fleshed out and imperfect the characters are and how thoughtfully Rooney has crafted their personas. Although not a completely satisfying read, I still found a lot to enjoy here, and I am absolutely interested in checking out Sally Rooney's previous works and whatever she has in store for the future. Hopefully in 2022, that beautiful world out there might make itself a little less elusive. Thanks.